हेलो फ्रेंड्स, केजी क्लासेस में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम आपको अलेक्जेंडर पोप के एक्सप्लेनेशन के बारे में बताएंगे। थिंक नॉट व्हेन से लेकर ओ एल रोक्स द कार्ड्स, लाइन 51 to 54। एक्सप्लेनेशन। एरियल, आफ्टर हैविंग summoned a dream to the sleeping eyes of Belinda, appears before her in a vision of and whisper into her ear that she is under the particular care of the spirits of the air. He then gives her an account of the origin of the various sorts of spirits and reveals to her that all spirits are the souls of women who once lived on earth. When a woman dies, her earthly fashionable follies do not die with her. They are continued by their airy spirits. All her vanities and pursuits of fashionable follies are preserved by her in her airy existence in the spirit. Just as in a game of cards, while some women play, others who are old and infirm sit by and watch the game with keen interest. So also while the living women indulge in their fashionable follies and frivolities, the disembodied spirit of a dead woman who can no more play her part on earth takes deep interest from a distance. Thus, even after death, by taking a keen interest as spiritual bodies in the pleasure and pursuits of living women continues and cherish their old vanities and frivolities. Comments. These lines indicate how Pope takes delight in deliberate ridicule and even offensive banter against the little unguarded follies of female sex. Beneath a thin cover of wit and pleasantry, Leslie Stephen rightly said that the poem is in effect a satire upon feminine frivolities. Pope therefore must be taken in those lines not simply to flying a sarcasm on the frivolities of living women of his own times, but to brand the very soul of woman with the stigma of inalienable vanity. Living or dead, a woman is necessarily a prey to fashionable follies and vain frivolities. नेक्स्ट है ऑप्ट व्हेन द वर्ल्ड से लेकर एक्सपेल बाय न्यू, लाइन्स 91 to 94। Explanation. After giving a satiric description of the follies and vanities of the fashionable women of his time, Pope here describes the various methods which the sylphs adopt to protect the ladies under their care. When people think that women are indulging in frivolities and thus deviating from the right path, the sylphs keep them company to bring them out of the bewildering intricacies of a pleasure-seeking life. When these women are entangled in the world of fashionable pleasure, these sylphs protect them from their loss of virtue and their help them in driving out old extravagance, silliness, follies, and nonsense by indulging in the new ones. Here, extravagant pleasure of life which are apt to spoil the woman are compared to the intricate figure of a dance. The comparison is suggestive of the fact that dances were the most potent sources of corruption among the fashionable men and women of the day. नेक्स्ट है वाट टेंडर मेड से लेकर कोचेस ड्राइव्स, लाइन्स 95 to 102। Explanation. In these lines, the poet describes the function of the sylphs owing to their contrivance. Soft-hearted maidens reject one suitor in preference to another when they are about to yield to the desire of one. There appears another by whose charm they are fascinated. Thus the fascination exercised by the lack of one lover is counteracted by the greater fascination of another lover. Every young woman surrenders her virtue to a lover who gives her some entertainment. If the effect of the entertainment were not contracted by a dance party arranged by a rival lover, if the lady is fascinated by the fine conversation of Florio, she is soon allured by Damon who warmly presses her hand. In this way they constantly shift their heart with all its vanities and frivolities from one person to another. This interesting competition among young men for ladies' love is created by the selves they instigate them to oust one another from his sweetheart's favor. Thus the hearts of women became vanity shop with ever changing articles for sale. Their hearts are fickle and full of light frivolous pleasure which are constantly changing. Comment. Pope here has in mind the words of Edison in his that essay dissection of a coquettish heart. Fans like silks, ribbons, laces, and gables lay so thick together the heart was nothing else but a toy shop. The Spectator Cancer. नेक्स्ट है लव इन दीज लेविरिंथ से लेकर विद ए सिंगल हेयर. कैंटो सेकंड लाइन्स 23 to 28. Explanation. In these lines are described the two locks of hair on Belinda's head and their awful charm. Belinda took special care of these locks as they were her most dreadful weapons to tame all young dandies. These locks formed small ringlets and adorned her slightly yellowish neck. These locks were so beautiful that Cupid, the god of love, imprisoned the hearts of youthful lovers in the intricate mazes of hair. These seemingly big chains of hair captivated the hearts of even the mightiest of men, the kings and warriors. These hairy snares were so fine that even the birds and fish were surprised to look at them. They entrapped the haughty domineering male sex who proudly call themselves ruler of women. Beautiful women captivate the male sex with nothing more than a mere hair of head. Comment. First, Alvin quotes the following lines from Dryden's translation of Perseus as the origin of Pope's couplet. She know her man when you rent and shear can draw you to her with a single hair. Second, Hales point out that Disraeli quotes from Howell a similar expression. The woman must needs be strong when one hair of a woman can draw more than 100 pair of oxen. Third, Richard Lovelace, when I lie entangled in her hair and fettered to her eyes. नेक्स्ट है और एज आयोक्सन से लेकर दैट फोर्थ बिलो. कैंटो सेकेंड लाइन्स 133 to 136. Explanation. After assigning duties to the various sylphs for the protection of Belinda, Ariel here threatened them with the characteristic punishment that they will receive if they are found neglecting their duties. The offender will be liable to punishment in one way or the other. Among the various modes of afflicting these sins are described a few that are most dreadful. The offender will be tied to the tiny wheel of the chocolate mill which the ladies turn in grinding cocoa seeds to obtain cocoa. They are held fast as action was fixed fast to a wheel in hell. The sylph will turn around and round so that his head will reel, or he may be thrust into the hot foam arising from the vessel of boiling cocoa and made to burn in it, while he will have to look with infinite horror on the seething and foamy liquid below him from which the vapor rises. Comment first. The description of these punishments to be meted out to the careless sylphs is exquisitely fanciful. Its humor is yet made pungent with satire. The neglectful sylph will be punished by means of the very articles of female luxury over which they are to keep guard. Next है Ixion. According to the Greek legend, Sion, king of Thessaly, tried to seduce her, queen of heaven. For this offense he was struck with the thunderbolt of Zeus, king of the god, hurled into hell and there fixed to a revolving wheel to turn and turn forever. Like Sion, the spirit will be chained to a chocolate mill and will turn there round and round. Next है meanwhile declining from the noon of day से लेकर may dine. Canto 3rd lines 19 to 23. Explanation. After giving a fine description of Hampton Court and various activities, the poet says that the sun was gradually descending towards the west from the height attained at noon time. Its rays were slanting. It was the hour for persons to round off their day's work and sit at dinner. The judge and jury men were feeling hungry and therefore they finished off the trial in hand and signed the sentence. The jurymen hastily passed the judgment saying that the accused was guilty. They made a hurry in passing the sentence because they were in a hurry to go to dinner. In Pope's time, the hour for dinner was 4 o'clock. Croker and other commentators have pointed out that Pope is wrong in saying that it was necessary for the judge to sign the sentence, for a sentence is pronounced and needs not to be signed again. As regards the words wretches hang, we are to remember that in Pope's days capital punishment was given for even lighter offences such as theft, robbery, forgery, etc. Hence, gallows were rather common in those days. Cf. There the black Gulliver's glooms beside the bay. Goldsmith के अनुसार scarce can our field such cross of Tyburn die with hemp the gallows and the fleet supply. जॉनसन के अनुसार है. नेक्स्ट है कॉफ़ी विच मेक्स द पॉलिटिशियन 22 से लेकर नाइसस इंजर्ड हेयर. कैंटो 3rd लाइन्स 117 to 124. कॉन्टेक्स्ट द गेम ऑफ cards ended and table was made ready for dinner. Soon there were spoons and cups. The berries were making noise, and the instrument for making coffee was turning. Hot coffee was then poured out from the silver spot of coffee pots into china cups. Belinda and Lord Peter enjoyed hot coffee. Explanation: coffee refreshes the mind, so politicians take it frequently and make themselves wise. Coffee also enables them to see the future with their half-shut eyes. As Lord Peter took coffee, its vapors rose in his mind and enabled him to chalk out new plan to get the brilliant lock of Belinda. What he should have feared gods, he should have remembered the poor fate of Scylla, who was changed into a bird and sent to fly in the air. She had to pay very dearly for plucking the purple hair of Nisus. Her father came first. The passage reflects contemporary fashion of coffee clubs where politicians and writers used to assemble and talk out plans of the future. Second है Silas fate. When King Nisus was besieged in Megara by King Minos, Nisus' daughter Scylla caught sign of Minos from a distance and fell in love with him. She plucked from her father's head the purple hair upon which his safety and that of his kingdom depended and brought it to Minos. He spurned her for her treachery, and after his inevitable victory sailed away. Scylla was changed to a king bird as was her father Nisus. The story is told by Ovid in Metamorphosis. Bill. Thanks. Best of luck.